All right, let's dive right into this explainer because we are going to uncover something truly remarkable today. What if I told you the absolute best thing you could do for your cellular longevity this week costs less than $5 and takes maybe 20 minutes to cook? Seriously, no expensive supplement stacks, no obsessive calorie counting, and absolutely no alarm set at 6 a.m. just to remind you that your eating window opens in 47 minutes. We're talking about a simple, inexpensive pantry staple that might actually outperform extreme fasting when it comes to deep cellular longevity.
Look, we've all been heavily conditioned to believe that autophagy, your body's built-in cellular cleanup system, demands these grueling multi-day fasts. We just assume that deep cellular repair requires absolute agonizing starvation. But what if that core assumption is just entirely wrong? What if the real trigger for this cleanup crew isn't the complete absence of food, but simply the absence of one very specific molecular signal?
So, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the problem with fasting, then the cellular cleanup switch, the legume longevity hack, building your daily routine, and finally, we'll solve the anti-nutrient myth once and for all.
Okay, jumping right into section 1, the problem with fasting and its hidden metabolic costs.
Now, don't get me wrong, extended fasting absolutely works. But honestly, nobody really wants to talk about the massive metabolic price it exacts on your body. And this is especially true for anyone over 45 who's dealing with hormonal shifts or frankly just living a physically demanding lifestyle. When you're on an extended fast, your glycogen depletes. That forces you into fat oxidation, which, hey, that part is great. But then your cortisol levels start rising. And cortisol is catabolic, meaning it actively breaks down tissue. To keep your brain fueled, your body kicks off gluconeogenesis, where it is literally breaking down your functional muscle tissue to convert that protein into glucose. Plus, prolonged calorie restriction downregulates your thyroid and drops your resting metabolic rate because, well, your body thinks it's starving. Metabolic efficiency sounds great on paper, but metabolic flexibility is what true longevity actually requires.
Which brings us to section 2, the cellular cleanup switch and mastering mTOR and methionine.
What's absolutely fascinating here is that there's a biological lever we can pull to bypass those metabolic crashes entirely. Enter mTOR, or the mechanistic target of rapamycin. You can think of mTOR as your body's master switch for cellular growth. When this switch is flipped on, your cells are in pure growth mode. They're building proteins, they're replicating, but when mTOR is suppressed, that's when your cells shift into repair mode. They recycle all those damaged proteins, clear out dysfunctional mitochondria, and run that magical autophagy cycle we all want. So the rule is simple. To clean house, you've got to turn mTOR off.
So how exactly do we turn it off without starving? Well, check out this incredible insight from a 2025 Science Direct review. It confirms that restricting just one specific amino acid, methionine, stimulates autophagy. Methionine is essentially the biological on switch for mTOR's growth pathway. When you decrease the availability of methionine, you shut that growth signal down, which preserves cellular health and actively clears out the junk. The real trigger for deep cellular repair isn't starving yourself of calories, it's methionine restriction.
And this brings up a massive, completely counterintuitive paradox in modern high-protein diets. Think about the foods the fitness community absolutely worships: beef, chicken breast, whey protein. These are chronically high in methionine. If you fast for 16 grueling hours, but then you break that fast with a whey protein shake and a chicken breast, you've just flooded your system with methionine. You slam mTOR into full activation and instantly slam your autophagy window shut. But on the flip side, things like lentils and pinto beans are naturally low in methionine. They literally allow you to eat, nourish yourself, and stay full while keeping that cellular cleanup switch firmly turned on.
Let's move to section 3, the legume longevity hack, and how we get nourishment without growth signaling.
Let's look at how substituting meat for specific legumes creates this incredible molecular illusion of fasting. When you break down the nutrition of just 1 cup of cooked lentils, you're getting about 230 calories, 40 grams of carbohydrates, 18 grams of protein, and a staggering 16 grams of fiber. This is practically a metabolically complete survival package. The calories and carbs keep your thyroid fully supported and your glycogen topped up, so your body never hits that panic button thinking it's starving. The 18 grams of protein support your muscle mass, but, and this is the key, because that protein is so heavily restricted in methionine, mTOR stays perfectly quiet. You are fully nourished, your energy is stable, and your cells are still busy cleaning house. Now you're probably wondering, wait, don't the carbs in those lentils spike my insulin and just turn mTOR right back on? That is a great question, but here is the biological workaround. Legumes are packed with resistant starch. That starch travels down to your gut microbiome where it gets fermented into short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. That butyrate then triggers the secretion of GLP-1,
Yes, the same GLP-1 everyone is talking about right now. It brilliantly regulates your satiety and severely blunts that post-meal insulin surge. Lower insulin between your meals means a much quieter mTOR pathway, allowing that autophagy window to stay wide open all day long, not just when you're fast asleep.
But it's important to note that not all legumes are identical. According to a 2024 PMC nutritional analysis, different beans have different superpowers. Red lentils, they're your ultimate tool for methionine mimicry because they are strictly methionine limited, plus they cook super fast. Pinto black beans are totally fascinating because they pack a massive punch of antioxidant polyphenols, things like quercetin. Those independently activate AMPK, which actually adds a secondary repair signal right on top of the methionine restriction. And then you have chickpeas, which act as a fantastic bridge. They offer a slightly more complete amino acid profile if you're worried about muscle building, but they still remain significantly lower in those mTOR-triggering amino acids than any animal protein.
All right, Section 4, building your daily routine, or what we call the autophagy rhythm.
Let's translate all this complex biochemistry into a highly practical daily framework that you can literally start using tomorrow. First, in the morning, you stay in a fasted state with just coffee or some matcha to seamlessly extend your overnight cellular cleanup. Then, midday, instead of breaking that rhythm with animal protein, you go for a legume-dominant meal. Think a hearty red lentil soup or a massive black bean bowl. Because of that methionine restriction, your autophagy window stays propped open all afternoon. Finally, in the evening, you introduce your higher quality animal protein. The cleanup work is done for the day, and now mTOR is purposefully re-engaged to drive overnight muscle synthesis and rebuilding. It's genius. You get all the benefits of a massive fast without a single hour of deliberate, agonizing starvation.
Finally, Section 5, solving the anti-nutrient myth. The phytate problem, officially solved.
We absolutely have to address the elephant in the room here. Every single time legumes are brought up, the biohacking community warns us about phytic acid binding to essential minerals like iron and zinc. But I want you to look at this massive number. According to a brand new 2025 study published in Food Science and Nutrition, proper preparation techniques like simple germination resulted in reductions of phytic acid by up to 75.65%. That drastically improves your mineral bile availability and the protein digestibility. Honestly, the anti-nutrient problem is essentially a completely solved science at this point.
And look, you don't even have to go full homesteader and fully sprout your beans to get these benefits. Here is a super simple 3-step protocol to completely neutralize the concern. Step 1, do a simple overnight soak for 8 to 12 hours with just a splash of acid like lemon juice or apple cider vinegar. This actually activates the plant's own built-in enzymes, called phytase, which prompts the bean to break down its own phytic acid for you. Step 2, always discard that soaking water. You're taking those water-soluble phytates right down the drain. Step 3, just cook them thoroughly until they're soft. The heat deactivates whatever remaining anti-nutritional factors are left. Phytic acid isn't a reason to avoid beans, it's just a reminder to prepare them correctly.
Which really brings us to a massive paradigm shift. For years and years, the longevity conversation has been entirely about subtraction, right? Removing food, restricting calories, enduring the literal pain of an empty plate just to force your cells to repair themselves. But what this explainer reveals is a framework of addition. By strategically adding low methionine legumes, resistant starches, and polyphenols to your day, you are sending the exact molecular signals your cells need. Cellular repair becomes this automatic daily background process, rather than some grueling, punishing discipline you just have to endure.
So, armed with this molecular cheat code, I want to leave you with one thought. Which legume from today's list are you going to add to your next grocery shop to unlock that deep cellular repair? Because sometimes, mastering your biology isn't about what you drastically take away. It's about the simple, humble ingredients you consciously choose to add. Thanks so much for diving into this explainer with me, and I'll catch you on the next one.